Hello, it's election day and DC employment solicitors have produced a report to summarise the key policy statements and pledges relating to employment law that have been made by the main national political parties in their respective manifestos. In the last two episodes, I looked at the Conservative and Labour Party's manifesto promises. In today's final episode, we'll take a look at a summary of the manifesto pledges from the Lib Dems, UKIP and the Green Party. The aim of this video is to give a very quick overview of what the parties are actually saying, along with an analysis of the potential challenges that they might face in implementing some of the policies if they're in a position to influence policy after today. I hope you're enjoying these short video summaries of our report, which we thought we'd stupidly called a critical review of the alternative policies, for obvious reasons. But thanks to feedback from our followers who've now read a copy of the report, they actually think it's quite an accurate title. Thanks very much. Anyway, let's have a look at what the Lib Dems, UKIP and the Green Party have to say. The Liberal Democrats have stated in their manifesto that they want to see more jobs in our economy with steadily higher wages and better employment rights. So let's have a look at their policies in relation to employment law in a bit more detail. The Lib Dems made a very brief reference in their manifesto pledging to review employment tribunal fees to ensure they're not a barrier. This pledge was clarified further in April when Joe Swinson, the Employment and Equalities Minister, said that the Lib Dems would review the level of tribunal fees to ensure that they do not prohibit people from making bona fide claims. It would appear that the Lib Dems would probably consider reducing the employment tribunal fees as opposed to banning them entirely, although, as with the Labour Party, the precise nature of what the possible changes could be remains unclear for now. The Lib Dems have pledged to ask the Low Pay Commission to consider ways of increasing the national minimum wage without damaging employment opportunities, although they don't appear to have committed to a particular level of the national minimum wage in the manifesto itself. The Lib Dems have also committed to improve enforcement action against employers who avoid paying the national minimum wage by incorrectly classifying employees as workers or self-employed. As far as the living wage is concerned, the Lib Dems have said that they'll undertake an independent review to consult on setting a fair living wage across all sectors. In addition, they pledged to pay this living wage in all central government departments from April 2016 onwards, and also to encourage other public sector employers to do the same. The Lib Dem manifesto says that they understand that flexible employment contracts, including zero-hours contracts, can work well for employees and businesses. However, they've also committed to stamp out the abuse of flexible employment contracts by creating a formal right for zero-hours workers to request a fixed contract, as well as consulting on introducing a right to make regular patterns of work contractual after a period of time. As far as work and family issues are concerned, the Lib Dem manifesto says that they want to encourage employers to provide more flexible working. In particular, the Lib Dems have pledged to expand the recently introduced shared parental leave regime by offering an additional month of paternity leave to fathers on a use it or lose it basis, i.e. the additional paternity leave wouldn't be able to be transferred to the mother if it wasn't used by the father. In addition, the Lib Dems would make paternity and shared parental leave rights available to employees from the first day of their employment, instead of the current requirement for employees to have a minimum period of employment before becoming eligible. On equality matters, the Lib Dems have pledged that it will require companies with more than 250 employees to publish details of the average pay of their male and female workers, and require employers to publish the number of people being paid less than the living wage, and the ratio between the top and median pay. The Lib Dems have also pledged to create more diversity in business leadership by encouraging a move towards women making up 30% of board members, and at least one board member being a Black, Asian or minority ethnic person. There's also a commitment to encouraging employers to shortlist any qualified disabled candidate and providing advice on adaptations to the workplace in order to help a greater number of disabled people to work. As far as other employment law reforms are concerned, the Lib Dems have also set out plans to support a major expansion of high quality and advanced apprenticeships by doubling the number of businesses that hire apprentices. They want to create a new workers' rights agency to streamline the work of the National Minimum Wage Enforcement section of HMRC, the Working Time Directive section of the Health and Safety Executive, the Employment Agency Standards Inspectorate and the Gangmasters Licensing Authority. The Lib Dems have also said that they'll double the number of employer inspections to ensure statutory employment legislation is being complied with in relation to migrant workers. Finally, they pledged to protect the rights of trade union members to have their subscriptions deducted from their salary automatically and to encourage wider participation in trade union ballots through electronic voting. The UK Independence Party published its manifesto on the 15th of April. The introduction to the employment section of the manifesto states, "Being in the European Union is damaging the prospects for British workers. Uncontrolled mass immigration has driven down wages, and for many jobs the minimum wage is now the maximum wage. Meanwhile, fewer new jobs are being created because of excess EU regulations. British workers will fare much better when we are out of the EU." The principal aim of UKIP, as expressed in the introduction of their manifesto, is for a Britain released from the shackles of the interfering EU. So let's have a look at the detail of UKIP's manifesto pledges where employment law is concerned. The manifesto says UKIP recognises that 0 hours contracts suit many people. We will not ban them. However, UKIP has pledged to introduce a legally binding code of conduct with 4 key provisions. Firstly, businesses who employ 50 people or more must give workers on 0 hours contracts a full or part-time contract after 1 year if they request it. Secondly, there'll be a ban on exclusivity clauses in 0 hours contracts. Thirdly, workers must be given at least 12 hours advance notice of work. Once this notice has been given, they must be paid for the work regardless of whether or not they're actually given any. And fourthly, UKIP won't allow the NHS or third parties to employ home care workers on 0 hours contracts. It'll ensure these workers receive the national minimum wage by being paid for the entire time they're on duty and by not being expected to travel in their own time. UKIP has pledged to raise the personal tax-free allowance to £13,000, which will mean people on the national minimum wage won't pay any income tax. In addition, UKIP will reverse the cuts in the number of national minimum wage enforcement inspectors. UKIP's policy is to leave the European Union and restrict immigration in a number of ways, including allowing British businesses to choose to employ British citizens first, and the ending of the availability of EU relocation grants for migrants to come and work in Britain. UKIP have also stated that it will remove Britain from the jurisdiction of the European Court of Human Rights and repeal the Human Rights Act. The UKIP manifesto says that agency workers have been penalised due to the increased use of 0 hours contracts by employers as a way of escaping the requirements of the EU's Temporary Agency Workers Directive, which basically gives agency workers the same workplace rights as employees. Under UKIP's proposals, the Temporary Agency Workers Directive would no longer apply to agency workers, as the UK would no longer be subject to European laws as a result of leaving the UK. And finally, the Green Party released their manifesto on the 14th of April. Its key manifesto employment pledges include an end to what it calls exploitative 0 hours contracts, but the manifesto itself doesn't provide any further details about how this will be achieved. The Green Party also says that it will make the national minimum wage a living wage for all by increasing the national minimum wage to £10 an hour by 2020 and an increase this year to £9.40 in London and £8.10 everywhere else. On the issue of working time, the Green Party has pledged that it will phase in a 35-hour week in an effort to combat unemployment by sharing available work out more equitably. Speaking of equality, the Greens have also pledged to make equal pay for men and women a reality, and also to introduce a maximum pay ratio of 10:1 between the highest paid and lowest paid in every organisation. On employment tribunal reform, the Greens say that they'll reduce employment tribunal fees so that tribunals are accessible to all workers. As far as trade unions are concerned, the Green Party has said that it'll revive the role of democratic trade unions, including the right to belong to a union and employer recognition of this, and the right to take industrial action, including strikes and peaceful picketing. Finally, the Green Party manifesto says that workers will be given a greater say in the running of companies by implementing a law that requires employee elected directors in medium and large companies. Well, there you have it. The Lib Dems, UKIP's and the Green Party's manifesto promises affecting employment law in a nutshell. Don't forget, if you missed our last two videos summarising the Conservative and Labour manifesto pledges, you'll be able to watch those by following the links that I'll give you in just 1 second. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our final instalment of our manifesto report. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, click here. If you want to follow us on our fantastic Twitter page, which gives you a daily heads up about everything employment law related, click here. Or if you want any more information, help, or to watch our other two manifesto videos, please go to our website by clicking here. All the links are also below. Once again, enjoy the election results and thanks for watching and see you next time.